Okay, Perek Nun Gimel, last week we started. Yeah. Let's start page 148, Ubabai Sheni, the second line from the top, the third line from the top. Oh. Come. Yeah? No, okay. Here, thank you very much. Thank you.
Cleaning the floor now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ubabai Sheni, Shaloi Hoya B'Ya'arim V'Aluchis. So he explained that the Kodesh HaKadoshim, that's the brain of the world, and in the Beis HaMikdash, in Bayis Rishon, that's the Gilui of Malchus the Atzilis, was Nezgala in Kodesh HaKadoshim. Chassidus explains that Bechlal, we learned a few Ma'amorim that in this man of Bayis Rishon, the Yidden were at a higher level. We had, the Alter Rebbe explains that most of Teirish Baal Peh and the Gzeiris and Takonis, it all happened after by Bayis Sheni. In Bayis Rishon, everyone was on a higher level. It wasn't necessary. Tefillah was on a different. Yes, many things. People were in the Lashon HaKabbalah, Sfiras Habina was Beizgalus, so people were more in a Meichin world. They weren't in a world of Hergish, they were in a world of Bittul. So they didn't need all the checks and balances. Naturally, they were in a... Okay, good. It's not good, but... Right, it's not a stira. The challenge of the clip of Avodah Zorah is another inyan, but mitzad, the level of Yiddish, in other words, the Yiddishkeit as a service was a much more elevated space, and the challenge was much greater. You know what he said? If you would be in my time, you would raise the edge of your garment to run after Avodah Zorah. It's all shita, right? It's not being self-serving. So that was the Isgalos of Bayis Rishon. So the Gilui, the Beis HaMikdash, the Kodesh HaKadoshim was a Gilui of Bria, of Malchus the Bria. Malchus the Atzilus through Malchus the Bria. That was the Luchas and Bayis Rishon, Bayis Sheni. Shaloi Hoya B'Ya'arim V'Aluchis. So Amru Razal, Shaloi Hoysa Shechina Shorebay. That Bayis Sheni did not have the Giloi Ashchina of Malchus the Atzilus, in meaning Malchus the Atzilus being Nislabish and Malchus the Bria. It didn't have such a Gilui the way it is in Eilam HaBria. Pirush, Madregas Shechina, you can't chas v'shalom say that there wasn't Gilui Ashchina in Bayis Sheni. So we have to explain what it means. Pirush, we have to take it out of the literal meaning. It means Madregas Shechina shehoyse sheire b'Bayis Rishon. The way it was sheire shalei kederech ishtalshus ha'elam is that you didn't have a Gilui that was l'mayla makom ha'arenein min amida, and that the nesa ma'aseh lekim chayim, the way it was in the luchas, you didn't have such a revelation. So rather, it went through the stages of the ordinary ishtalshalus of the sfiras, and it was nislabish until malchus the asiyah, meaning he explained that every world has a brain, just like every human being has a brain. And the world of Asiya has a brain. What's the world of Asiya? What's the brain? The brain is Torah Maisis. Torah, the way it instructs us how to live in a physical way. So B'Bayis Sheni, It was shoyre kederach ishtalshlos v'yislapshus, meaning malchus the Atzilus, b'malchus the Bria, and then Bria b'malchus the Yetzirah, and Yetzirah b'heichal kodshe kadoshim the Asiyah, the Asiyah Ruchnius, and kodshe kadoshim the Asiyah. Hoya mislabish b'kodshe kadoshim shebebeis hamigdash elomato. Right? V'shar sobei ashchino, there was a gilui in the Chedesh HaKadoshim, a gilui elikus. What was the gilui elikus? Malchus the Yetzirah, hamlubeshes b'kodshe kadoshim da'asiyah. So just the Rebbe clarifies that in the whole world there's elikus. The chayes eliki, the shchina, is mechaya everything. The difference is the difference is that in everything else in the world, it's through klippas noiga. There's a levush. It's always in a helem of, it's obscured. Okay, it could be klippas noiga, so there's the potential that it could be elevated. The Torah of that world is the elikus without the levush of noiga, just the chayes eliki of Eila Ma'asiyah, the chayes eliki, which is the Torah of, which is the brain of that world. V'lachein, being that the gilui elikus in the Kodesh HaKadoshim was the gilui of Hashem's Oyer. Chassidus explains that malachim are bottled because they experience their shayrish, right? Their makar hachayim is always they see it, so they're bottled to their source. The anivra, the his havos yesh me'ayin is designed to be b'derech richuk, so we don't feel our source, so we could walk around independently, feeling like a metzias. In the Kodesh HaKadoshim, in the Beis HaMikdash, the mocker of Nivroim Gashmiim was revealed. So that's why only the Kohen Gadol can enter into that experience momentarily. He enters it and then he retreats. It's too much, right? And if there's any sense of Metzias, he becomes Nizbatel. Right, he's Nizbatel. If there's any trace of Yeshus, he's Nizbatel. You have to be in a level of Malach to be completely bottled to the Mocker. So the Alter Rebbe, in other words, that's another way of understanding the Gilui of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. V'lachein, being that Elikus was Nizgala, that level of Elikus was Nizgala there, and like we mentioned last week, that he only enters. It's an inyan makif, it's a makif, and then he walks out. Once the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, every olam must still have a brain. So Hashem only has one place. And here the question is, why it's Da'al Damas Shal Halacha? Why is it not all learning? Any learning, wherever there's learning, that's Hashem's Torah being revealed. So the Alter Rebbe is going to explain, because Halacha includes the Rotzin. It's the Pnimiyas HaChochma, because it's also the Rotzin of the Eibishter. It's Keser. In other words, that's the Gilui of Chochma Da'atzilus. Learning Torah otherwise lacks that purity of Hashem's. It could be already a likus, the way it is in Bria, at time halachas, etc. Even one person was sitting and learning Torah, Shechina the Shechina is with him, the brain of Eila Ma'asiyah. Kedisa bebrachas perakama, the Gemara explains, and what Pirush, what's the meaning Shechina Imei? Shechina Imei not the way it is for Malchus Datzilus, but Kederech Ishtalshalus V'Yislapshus. Malchus Datzilus, Malchus the Bria, and then Yitzira, and then Asiyah. It has to go through. Why? Why does it go? Why is the Torah packaged in such a low level of Malchus Da'asiyah? So he explains, Kitayag mitzvahs HaTorah, Ruban Kekulam, the vast majority of the mitzvahs are mitzvahs maisiyas. They're action mitzvahs. Vegam, even those mitzvahs, Hatluyas, Bedibur Machshava, there's a... No, there's a leak. I'm just... No.
It's upstairs, something leaking. Broken pipe.
When the flow increases, the water moves.
Right.
This way,
So, sorry about that. So Ruban Kekulam of meaning are, and this is weird, the Alter Rebbe is circling back to the question that he started in Nun Aleph. What's the primacy of mitzvahs maisius?
it's Tachlis, no? All the story, all the process.
But he's not coming from a place of Dira B'Tachtoinim here. Right?
But if you think about mitzvah, it doesn't go anything.
Right. It's not. It's
Then it still doesn't do.
yeah. So v'kaim alon v'gam hatluyas b'dibur u'machshava, even those mitzvahs that have an element of dibur and machshava, kemei Talmud Torah u'birchas hamazon u'kriyas shema u'tfila. The Rebbe deals. It's not a conversation for now about whether about what is the Alter Rebbe's shita regarding tefillah, if it's a mitzvah deiraisa or a mitzvah derabanan. Because generally the Alter Rebbe says that davening is midirabanan, but here he wraps it in within the mitzvahs that tluyas bedibur. Hakaim alon, the halacha is dehirur lav kedibur dami, that thought alone is insufficient. To only think the words isn't. You're not mekayim the mitzvah. You have to express. It's taka a maisa kala, but there's a maisa. The kaimalon and the halachic position is the akim asfasav have a maisa. Moving your lips is also action. So now we come to the Rotzin and the Chochma element. V'tayag mitzvahs haTorah. Im sheva mitzvahs derabanan b'gematria keser. What are the mitzvahs? The mitzvahs are Chochmas Hashem. They're part of Torah. Torah and are keser. Shahu Rotzna el Yim Baruch Hu. Hamelubish b'chochmasa yizbarich. Which are hamiyuchades be'erein seiv baruch hu betachlis hayuchud. There's no levush, there's no obstruction. This is Hashem's. It's completely one with the Eibishter, and even Teirah Shabal Peh. Not only the mitzvahs that are directly the tzivui Hashem, not only Chumash, where even the words of Chumash are Hashem's expression, but even. Which is called Eretz, is Bechachma Yosad, the foundation. Where is Teirah Shebal Peh rooted? It's rooted in Chachma. The Nafka, where does it come from? It emerges Mechachma Elah. The Abba, the father, Chachma Datzilus, Yosad Brata, is the founder of the daughter. The daughter, Sfiras HaMalchus, is the daughter of the father. Now the Alter Rebbe comes back and he circles back to what he said at the beginning of Perek Nun Aleph. Zeu sha'amar haYenuka. This is what the Yenuka said.
What's it okay?
Who it is in the Zohar? Rav Amnun. Yeah, one of the one of Atana. The Neheira Ilah, the Adlik Aresha. Hishchinte itzrich lemishcha. But Alter Rebbe, we had a question that lechoira shemen is chachma. Shemen is not maisa. So the neheira ilah itzrich lemishcha. How did it should require learning? How did it happen that the chachma became maisa mitzvahs? So he says, Neheira ilah the adlik aresha, the Neheira, which is the Shechina requires what is oil pirush, li'isla beish bechokma, in order for Hashem's light to be part of our experience. It requires chokma. Hanikra shemen mishchas kodesh, k'mei shekasav b'zayar, ve'inun, what is the shemen? Uvdin tovim. Maisa mitzvahs, maisim toivim. Hein, tayag mitzvahs, hanim shachas mechachmasa yizbarich. And the Yenuka says that only these mitzvahs have the ability kedei leches eir hashchina b'psila. In order that the eir hashchina, that a likus, should be revealed in the person, which the guf ha'adam is a wick. He nefesh hachayunis shebeguf hanikras psila al derech moshe. And here's the biur. Just like with a physical light, with a physical candle. Ha'oyer meir al yedei kiloyon usreifas hapsila. Just like with a candle, how does the oyer? In order for the fire to burn, it must have kiloyon. The wick has to be consumable. There's sreifas apsila, hanefeches leish. So, as soon as the fuel is removed, the fire withdraws. You watch how, you give a little. Suddenly it kindles. Kach eir hashchina, the fusion of Shechina with our world is only possible by something being consumed. There has to be an inyan of bittul, something of substance has to be becoming nizbatel and melikus in order for the Eir HaShechina to be revealed. Then there's an Eir HaShechina in this world. So either it's kiloyin nefesh habahamis, either it's like David HaMelech Horge Betainis, the complete transformation. What is the fuel? The nefesh habahamis v'his habchusa mechasheichel neheira umimrira lemiska betzadikim. That the nefesh habahamis itself is nichla, oy lefachis, or minimally al yedei kiloyin levushehem. That the nefesh habahamis itself is not being transformed, but the garments of the nefesh habahamis are being nishapich shehein machshava dibur ma'isa of the nefesh habahamis v'his hapchusa meicheshech haklipis la'eir havaya ein seif baruch hu hamalubish u'meyuchad u'machshava dibur ma'isa hayag mitzvahs hatera bebeinim, or by the consumable machshava dibur ma'isa. So Hashem created a world. The world completely conceals elikus. The only time elikus becomes revealed is only when there's something in the world that's being nichle into a mitzvah. That's why Chassidus, there's such emphasis on saying the words when you learn, on saying the words out loud. Ki al yedei, I just have this memory. I think Rabbi Shachat's Yortzeit is sometime in the 9 days, maybe. Emmanuel.
Oh,
I'm not sure. Anyways, I remember
my own brother.
he came to the summer program, and he was saying Kaddish for his mother. And for us, the guys were already there for 2 weeks, and he's davening for the Omud, and he turns around after the Shemona Esrei, and the students take their time, and then he turns around, and he looks at me, he says, "It's not a minyan." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "They're not saying the words. They're just reading it in their mind." In other words, people who come from the world,
They're not used to.
yeah, there's no. You're reading the siddur. You look at the words, and your eyes go like you're reading a book. So the elikus is not in the world. We're not bringing elikus. Ki ha'idei is hapchus nefesh avahamis haba meklubas nega mechashechel and ahira v'chulu. It's only through the hapchus that nasa bechinas halas man. That's the only time. That's how we welcome. We draw, just like the flame draws its chayis from the wick and the fuel. Lahamshich eir ashchina hi bechinas gilui eir ein seif baruchu al nafshei ho'elikis shebemechin shebereishe. That's the only way through the kiloyin. That's the way we're mamshich the shchina. But zeh yuven heitiv. Now we'll understand very well. Mashakosuv. The pasuk says that Havaya lekecha eish eichlahu, that the Eibishter, it's a eish eichla, is a consuming flame. The Rebbe is mitzayin to a maimed in Lekutei Torah and Pashas Acharei Mois, that this Indian of eish eichla, meaning without the Eibishter, without fuel, there's no fire. It's withdrawal. It's eish eichla. It only becomes eish when there's something that's and that puts it gives us tremendous power that the Eibishter requires every minute in order to be in this world, that we should be makriv, so to speak, by us elevating our machshava dibur u'maisa into elikus. We're creating a fire, a light of Shechina. Nishlam chelik rishon be'ezras Hashem yizbarach v'yisala. Yeah, Baruch Hashem. And I don't know in the custom of what the Rebbe would want us to do, if we should go back like by the Bar Mitzvah and say a few words from the Sharblat.
Sounds good.
So Lekutei Amarim chelik rishon, that's called Sefer Shal Beinanim, which is Melukit Mipisforim Umipisefrim Kedoshei Elyon U'Shmas Eden, that the Tanya is founded on the pasuk Kikorev Eilecha Hadavar Me'ed. The Alter Rebbe told us Hadavar Me'ed, it's excessively close. B'ficha U'Bulvavcha and La'asoisoi Levayir Eitev. The Alter Rebbe comes to explain Eichu Korev Me'ed B'derech Arucha U'Ktzara Be'ezras Hashem Yizbarech. So tremendous Yesher Koyach, everyone.
You mentioned you going Sabbath. You mentioned
What about it?
we start to
About learning Samach Vov? It's a question for me. What to learn? I don't know. Maybe to learn a little bit Nigla for a few weeks.
Could you work with the Sikhs?
You
want to jump on with the Sikhs train?
On the Lekutei Sichos project?
Yeah. Of course. It's not going to fit in an hour.
What would I had anything?
Just say about Tanya a few words. First
Tanya
of
that's a good thing about Tanya. It is a few words. You don't have to talk and through it. Every word is so.
So, comes to mind with, I've said before, Professor Baranover, who just passed away, Shava Lichtig in Gan Eden. He said that when he heard about Tanya the first time, so someone told him there's a book, So he said, a book? I read 3 books a week, 4 books a week. So he says, so they brought him the Tanya, and he's still learning it. Many years later, he's still learning it. but also the Indian that Chassidim would say that in Torah, the same number of parshas that begin with the letter Vav, you also have Prakim Tanya that begin with the letter Vav corresponding. And then the third thing is that there's a few Sipurim that the Alter Rebbe, that people discovered the Alter Rebbe learning Tanya. He said, "What is Hotnish Ken Klep? What are you doing? You wrote it. What are you doing?" So he says, "There are things that I didn't realize. There's more in the Tanya than I." So when something is, not that we have an understanding, but when something is divinely inspired, it has a greater koyach. Benegea, what to learn? So I don't know. It's a good. I don't know.
I had one.
I don't know. It's a delicate thing.
You choose before.
I think maybe it was inspired by Hashem.
Okay. Let's wait.
So we have to wait for inspiration.
One thing I was told to, I don't know if everybody got this,